Um, Hello everyone. 21st October, this Saturday is the Global Encryption Day. We at ISOC, Internet Society Bengaluru chapter, have arranged three webinars. One got over yesterday, there's one today, and then tomorrow. And on 21st, there's going to be in-person events at Ramaya University, Bengaluru. There's going to be student competition workshop on encryption and one more webinar on that day. Broadly, there are three goals for ISOC. First one is to bring internet to everyone. Second goal is to bridge the gap between policymakers and tech community. And third goal is to generate ideas for future of the internet. ISOC Bengaluru chapter is very new and we are excited to conduct these events throughout this week. Please join me in welcoming our guest speaker today, Dr. Bimal Roy. He is the Professor Applied Statistics Unit, Indian Statistical Institute, also known as ISE Calcutta. He is also the head of Cryptology Research Group, ISI Calcutta. He has BStat and MStat degrees from ISI, followed by PhD from University of Waterloo, Canada. He has pioneered the research and education on cryptology in India, also created R.C. Bose Center for Cryptology and Security. He received multiple awards, including Padma Shri in 2015, Indian National Science Academy Teachers Award in 2014, IBM Faculty Award and Reliance Platinum Jubilee Award in 2007. Over to Dr. Bimal Roy to start the webinar.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Vijay Kumar.
Recording in progress.
Murthy, because who finally got me into this. I was traveling for the entire last week, and from day after tomorrow, we have our Durga Puja. So I told it's very difficult for me. Normally, I don't work during the Durga Puja days. For 1 week is off for me completely. So I'm only a social person that time. Not religious, but very social for that week. I meet all my friends. We have a puja in our residence area. So I could finally find some time. I could squeeze some time here. Now, this is, I think, what Murthy was talking to me, that what about talking about something like what is the recent trends in encryption, recent advances. Now, encryption is a very ancient concept, starting from the Egyptian time, then Julius Caesar, and so on and so forth. But things have moved quite a bit. And the first revolution was, I would say, IBM's DES. That was a substitution permutation network or a Fiestal structure. DES was used by IBM for its encryption. But that was basically for private key. The key has to be shared by the sender and the receiver both. Then came the notion of public key cryptography, where the public can communicate over a very insecure channel and yet remain secure. So then came the first paper by Diffie-Hellman in 1975, followed by the seminal paper by Rivesh Shamin-Edelman, the RSS scheme. So that gives the basis of the public key cryptography. And then in late 80s or early 1994, Eli Biham and his professor Adi Shamir, they have, I would say broken, they have cryptanalyzed DES to the extent that if you have sufficient computing power, you can actually break a DES encryption. So there was a move internationally. Now, what is after DES? So what people did, instead of DES, they tried to put DES multiple number of times in a cascading factor. And they thought that triple DES, that means you send the plain text to the DES, then the cipher text from the DES as the output, that becomes input of the second another DES, then the output of that gets as input in the third DES, and after the third DES, that is a cipher that is being communicated. Now, triple DES was not officially broken, or I don't think many people tried that, So triple test was some kind of popular. Even today also they do use triple test in many cases. But still, since DES is not weak, people had doubt whether triple DES would really last or not, and people probably didn't study enough the security aspect of triple DES. So there was an international competition. The US government, they have this institute called National Institute for Standards in Technology, NIST. So they work towards building standards of all kinds of things, not only encryption, even for your engineering products. I've been to NIST office in, well, very close to Washington, DC. Probably it's in Maryland, but for all practical purposes, Washington, DC. It's a huge complex. And there's a huge group who works in this crypto and security domain. And they try to work on the different standards that international community, including the US government, may follow. Now, what is their philosophy is this. Now, often we do face this idea is that we should keep our algorithm very secret in order to make it secure. Now, this is something the international community doesn't accept because suppose Vijay Kumar designs an encryption algorithm and only his friends and his circle, they only study this and then they say this is good enough. It's not quite accepted by the international community. So what they would say that if you have any encryption algorithm, you have to put in the public domain. And the strong belief is that the security of this algorithm lies not in the algorithm itself, but basically in the key. So one can actually show that if it is if the key is not compromised, then these strong algorithms cannot be actually broken in practical time. So they think, I also think the same way, that any algorithm anybody wants to adopt, want to use, want to say this is a good one, not only a small group of people should work on that, so they should put in the public domain. And that's what does NIST. So the first such things they took up after this DES was broken, they called for an international competition. In around 1998, 1999. So there were lots of submissions. So they have an expert committee from all over the world. In fact, in one of these competitions, my junior colleague Mridul Nandi was one of the experts who evaluated all these algorithms. And also they put in the public domain, and they want everybody to look into this domain, not only the NIST people only, that anybody could try to find weakness in that. So, say Murthy puts an encryption algorithm, and then it will put on a public domain. And people will be asked to study this, try to break it, try to find weakness in it. And they're often, given some incentive for doing so. So this will go step by step. So after one round of this evaluation, they will make another shortlist. So there will be hundreds of applications. So then shortlist maybe about 20, 30. Now they would be deeply analyzed by NIST team and also some designated experts all over the world. No bias for the US, even though US is organizing it. So this will be done. And then they will have another further shortlist of maybe 4, 5, 6. And then they would be invited with a crowd of all the experts all over the world. And then they will make a very detailed presentation and the implementation aspect and the key management, all these things they have to produce. And this body, which is a truly international expert committee, they will examine this, they will ask them questions, they will try to harass them, and finally they will choose the winner. So after all this process, that algorithm Randall, which is also now known as the AES, because AES is not name, Advanced Encryption Standard. So they tried to make beyond DS what could be a advanced encryption standard adopted by the world. So NIST will adopt it, and so would be the commercial domains in US all over and maybe internationally everywhere. But the name of this algorithm is Randall. It was designed by a team led by Vincent Ryman, who is a good friend of ours, who has come to India a few times. He works in Catholic University Leuven in Belgium. So he was a winner. But nonetheless, there were other runner-up. I think there are 4 runner-up, which are probably as good, but maybe just a margin of a hairline. Randall got the best of it, but the others were as good. I remember there's another algorithm, the Serpent, designed by Eli Biham, I guess. So that was also pretty strong. So they look into the aspects of many things. This is what I mean by advanced encryption. So first, they talk about the mathematical strength of the algorithm. So you have to use mathematics to ensure that. Now, if it is a stream cipher or a block cipher, then one way to establish its strength is NIST has designed some 21 tests. You can go to the NIST website. Anybody is designing algorithm, go to the NIST website and try to perform the tests on your algorithm outputs for a long output and or a good number of output. Okay, and see if all the tests this algorithm passes. If it passes, then I would say that it's probably strong, and these are all basically statistical tests. And one have to perform all these statistical tests. And I can just mention one nice test here, because people who do an algorithm, this is one of my very favorite tests. So what they would do, you get an output stream, zeros and ones and zeros and ones and so on and so forth. You have an algorithm, you have put your plain text, you have put your key, and the cipher text come out. And then it's a basic sequence of zeros and ones. Now we can take a block of these zeros and ones and can convert them to a number between maybe 2 by 2 squared. So maybe between -1 and +1. Okay, convert these numbers to -1 and +1. And you take the first number, just think of a square which is of length 2. Square of length 2. And then you inscribe a circle of radius 1 inside that square. So from an output scheme, you take 2 observations, 2 numbers with -1 and +1. Okay, and you treat that as a point in this XY plane. So this will be in that square for sure. And then you observe, does it belong to that circle or not? Okay, what is the area of the circle? Pi r square, r is 1 here. So pi r square is pi. So if you just take a million of such points from your algorithm, you try to see whether it belongs to the circle or not, how many of those? Okay, so this number should be like something like, if it is a ratio, area of the square is pi, and then the area of this entire circle is pi, area of the entire square is, I think, 4. So it should be pi by 4. So left with 3.14 by 4, something less than 0.8, something between 0.75 and 0.8. So that many points should belong to this circle. So all you observe is that and see whether you are getting very close to pi by 4. Now, if it is not, then certainly this is not giving you a good cipher. And I will tell you one very, very fundamental thing here. Passing the test doesn't give you much information here. Failing the test gives an information. If you fail a test, you know for sure this has got some weakness. But passing the test doesn't guarantee, it builds your confidence. So if you just go on testing one by one, and if you pass all the 21 tests, it gives you confidence that it's probably very safe. But still, this is not really a proof. It's only a probabilistic way of looking at it. It's most probably this is very secure. I can probably give an estimate of what is the probability of cracking this encryption scheme. with some randomized random input and so on and so forth, we can give some probability estimate and bound this probability estimate. And if we can bound this estimate by a very small numbers, if I say that, well, this is my algorithm, and if I use this niche test and I see that the probability of this getting compromised or broken is less than 0.10 zeros and 1, then we may be very happy with that. But nonetheless, you must remember that this gives you a notion of probability of the security of your scheme. So these are basically for the stream cipher and block cipher. And the basic principle of this one is that the output sequence should be a purely random sequence. And nobody knows really how to make a purely random sequence. So we try to think of what are the properties of a purely random sequence and see how much of this property is satisfied by my output stream. Okay, so you must remember that.
Just let me know when I need to move the slide. I'm still on the first slide.
No, I still didn't move to the slides. I'm just on my.
Sure.
Okay, now we can move to the next slide. My first. Okay, so this was the history of it, how the algorithms developed, but then came more and more criteria. So I'll talk one by one. Okay, maybe we go to the next one, and then we go to the next one. Yes, so I don't know, the previous one. Yes, it's okay here. Now, what are the recent trends? The first one is authenticated encryption. What do you mean by this? We had all the tools even before that. So encrypt. Okay. Now, who can access? Okay. Say simply think of one medical report, online medical report. It should be accessed by the patient. It may be accessed by the doctor, and the report has to be prepared by a doctor. And if it has to modify or revise the report, it should be done only by the doctor. And who can see it? The patient and the doctor, or whosoever they give the permission to see. Okay, so there is a notion of both the privacy of my information, and there is also the authenticity of the doctor. So this created there are algorithms till before that the encryption algorithms. On top of that, they build other algorithms for preserving privacy of the person, also for the authenticity of the person who can write on, who can apply the algorithm on some data, who can create the data, who can manage the data, who can give access to others to read it, and so on and so forth. So this authenticity, there are algorithms. But then you need 3 different algorithms: an encryption, and a privacy preservation algorithm, and also an authenticity. Now then, I think the world thought, this is not very old, maybe at least just at most 10 years, that we must have all this put together to make life easy for us, just one black box for the user, which is going to guarantee privacy, authenticity. And this is what is called authenticated encryption. So encryption plus authentication here also includes the notion of privacy. Now this is one recent advances that the encryption community got. That if you write an algorithm, just don't write the algorithm by only itself. You try to put together the notion of privacy as well as notion of authentication. So this is the first one which I'll talk about. Okay, then for other applications. Now, if you think of applications in, say, these healthcare devices, these usual algorithms, they take a lot of space. They need a lot of computations. Now, if I'm trying to use it for healthcare, or if I'm trying to use for some IoT network like in the airport or in the battlefield or something, these are very small IoT devices. Even the healthcare, to monitor your health, we use these IoT devices. Now, IoT devices, if they're compromised, this could make havoc. So also people thought that when the IoT devices communicate, between one and the other. So it must be also secured through some kind of encryption algorithm. But the standard ones that we use, say AES or triple days or say RSA or whatever, there are new things like Salsa, many algorithms. But those things need space, they need battery power, they need too many gates and stuff like that to implement that algorithm, and it needs lots of cycles of computation. Now, typically in an environment like sensors, or this contactless smart cards, healthcare devices, or for the police intelligence or the this military uses this sensor networks, all these things, they need a different kind of paradigm for encryption. And this is what is called lightweight encryption, or we call light cryptography. So light means this should be really light and by weight. And this weight means, here when I say weight, this means this is weight with respect to non-physical weight, the area it needs, the energy it requires, the throughput it does, on all these things. So this is another recent need for the encryption algorithms. We want to implement this into a device which is very much constant. Please, on the next one. Next one, Vijay Kumar, please. Yes. Now, what are the building blocks in any kind of encryption? The first one is a keyed permutation. So what is a permutation? 0, 1, so n bit to n bit, some function, but it depends on a key, k. So this is going to generate, so I start with n bits, and then depending on a key, I permute those bits. Okay? And this is, but when I do this permutation, the permutation that my output comes, there should be what we call a random permutation. Again, I must tell you, this notion of randomness is such a abstract concept. I even don't understand it even today. When I say random bit, random permutation, these things I don't know how to implement. I don't know anybody who can ascertain that yes, I've implemented that. But this is one of this requirement of a block cipher. I think of block cipher, then this will need to generate a random permutation. So you have your input, you have some algorithm, the output would be a random permutation of the input bits, and it will use a key. Now with the block cipher, there is an issue again. Suppose I use AES. Okay, AES encrypts only, I think, 128 bits plain text. So AES, you can get anywhere in the AES. This will just encrypt 128-bit plain text. So this will should have some certain S boxes, certain permutations, and etc. etc. At the end of it, this will probably generate another 128-bit output. And I think this will also have AES 256. So we can take 256 and then produce 256 bits. Now this 256 is too small. How many bytes? There are 32 bytes. So if I'm trying to encrypt many messages, a long message, so these are blocks of 32 bytes. Now, if I use AES, then what I do, I'll use the same key from the first block, use the same key for the second block, use the same key for the third block, and so on and so forth. Now, suppose in my plain text, 2 blocks were identical. It may happen if I'm talking to you. So the word, some words are repeated many, many times. So because I'm using the same key, so after encryption, this will produce the same cipher. If my plain text has got equal, the same information in the block, say I'm using the word hello. If I use the word hello many times, each time hello would be encrypted to a ciphertext, but all the time it is the same because I'm using the same key. So if an attacker looks into the ciphertext, which you will always assume the attacker has access to the entire ciphertext, and then they can find that in these blocks, these blocks are the same. So this gives lots of information to the attacker. And if you know the language structure well enough, you may also find out what are these words, which words come more often, and etc. So like some frequency analysis, but this year I have to deal with 32 bytes information, but there are ways of doing it. So AES is very strong, very, very good, but AES, when it applied on a long plain text, which is the reality, then from the ciphertext, attacker or anybody can get a lot of information about this attacker. That, well, these blocks are the same. So this is a weakness. So implementation of AES using this way is not very, very encouraged. It comes security. So then there came a notion of tweakable block cipher. This I'll talk about. In the tweak, what they do, along with the key, you will use a tweak. Tweak means another. So here I'm talking about T bits. 0, 1 to the power T. So I'm using T bits as my tweak. What does it mean? See, these tweaks are probably known to everybody, but the tweaks we know it will change from first block to second block to third block, and there is a sequence of tweaks. This will change. But then what it does, that is the challenge here, that if I input the tweak as well as the key and the plain text, this cipher that will generate, this will have a different property, meaning that even if the plain text block is same, the output of the ciphertext blocks are going to be different. So that kind of weakness that I was thinking of an AES implementation, this is not quite good. In fact, I will tell that for the AES implementation, they have got another thing, what is called what they call cipher block chain, so CBC mode. But there, then that is a chained action, and that means if I implement, I cannot implement parallelly. So parallel thing is going to make it first, but the other things of securing AES application, they cannot be used in parallel. So one block, output of one block is used as input of the next block, and so on and so forth. And this way, it goes on and on. So it becomes slow. So tweakable block ciphers are that, well, we should be able to do parallelly. And yet, tweaks have to be chosen in such a way. Tweaks are public, you must know, are public. But even with the public knowledge, key is not public. Tweak and key altogether, when used for the encryption, the ciphertext that I generate for different blocks, I'll get, even if the same block is there in my plain text, output block is going to be, they're going to be different. Now, this is one of the most important things going on. In fact, there is, I think we will get the announcement. I know the people in NIST. So NIST's next attempt is, they will ask for a competition of a tweakable block cipher. Now, this is going to, well, two issues. Number one, the security issues. Number two, we should be able to do things parallelly. We should not wait for the cipher of the first block to what? So we have to give more parallelism, yet generating ciphertext which are secure and doesn't have that weakness. The two same plain text block would be encrypted to the same cipher blocks. So this is done by the tweak. So this is, I think, one of the most important thing today, and people are working on it, and there will be competition. I would probably request my Indian community to go for the, I think it will be on the website maybe by next January, or maybe it's already there, because I talked to them a few months back. So a competition for tweakable block cipher. So this is where I think we should participate. I know some of my colleagues at ISI would participate in this competition, and I'll talk about what all they participated. The other notion is that in our algorithms, we often use public permutations. Means probably somebody has actually generated a very random permutation. Okay, so let me use that public permutation in my cipher. I'll show you how I use this public permutation in the cipher. So people think that we could use public permutations also into our algorithms to make it stronger. Okay, next one. Okay, so there was a competition which was announced 2014. This is it's called CESAR, CAESAR, Competition for Authenticated Encryption, Security, Applicability, and Robustness. Okay, so what? So this was, as I told you, this on top of encryption, this is supposed to give you the notion of privacy as well as authenticity or authentication of the user. Now, if I go to history, there were globally 57 were submitted in the first round of evaluation. After a year, only 29 survived. Then there was another round of evaluation, then 15 survived. And from 15, I think in this 15, my ISI colleagues had two in this group. So we have a very strong encryptor, Midul Nandi. Of course, he was my student long back. Not very long. I think he did PhD in 2005 or 6 with me. So he and the students, they made many submissions, and 2 of them were involved in this 15, which could not make the final list. So the final portfolio has got 6 members. It was announced in 2019 February. And now these are the international standards. So if anybody is interested to what is the recent most acceptable, I would say, symmetric key ciphers, then this is going to be, this is a concept. Go to the next page because I know who is the winner. Okay, the winner is actually, for CESAR, they had got many, so they are not a single winner. I think for lightweight applications, the winners were ASCON and ACORN. I will talk about this ASCON or ACORN. And for high performance applications, well, no, all of them basically satisfy the notion of security, privacy, and authenticity. Out of question. But then we are thinking of where this is more applicable. So this ASCON or ACORN, they are targeted, when they have designed, they're targeted for resource constant environments, for RFID tags, sensor networks, hospital management systems, so on and so forth. So ASCON and ACORN were the winners. Now, if you really want to, you want to make it a real-time application, high-performance applications, you can't wait. See, these things you don't mind. For the hospital management, if it takes few seconds, it doesn't really matter. If the data you access takes few seconds, how does it matter? But if you are thinking of vehicular applications, you need real-time any protocol. Memory encryption. As soon as you log off, the memory should be it should encrypt and put in the memory. Now, whenever you need high performance, very fast, for that category, this AGIS 120 and OCP, these 2 algorithms were chosen to be winner. And then, if you think of the robustness in undesired environments, this is called defense in depth. Okay, very much robust. So even with calamities, it can work. The environment changes, there are more attackers, so on and so forth. Then also it should work. So in that case, there are 2 winners, Deoxys2 and Colm, COLM. All these 6 algorithms are available publicly, and we recommend that henceforth, if you want to use this encryption, or streams, I think symmetric cipher, use one of these 6 depending on your application domain. Next one. Next one, please.
Could you have questions in the list?
Yeah. Maybe next slide, I'll come back to this later on. Next one. Yes. So I'll just tell you how does the, I'm sorry, if someone interested, personally, I can explain him a little better. I'll tell you that one of the winners is ASCON, okay, of the 6. How does this ASCON really work? What is the proposition? And that will give an idea now what these encryption things are going on. So you can see here in that first block, we call initialization. So I have a key. I have what I call this IV, and I have another notion called N, just to fill it up to certain number of bits. Okay, we call it nonce. Nonce is like tweak only, similar to tweak. So we have IV initial value, where to start. Then I have the key. I have a nonce. I have associated data A1, A2, AS. This means that the header file and so on and so on. It's not the actual data, but before the data, there is some description of the file and so on and so forth. That's how we associate data. These are my A1, A2, AS. And my plain text is P1, P2, PT. My key is K. And then how does it get? And they will use this 2 permutations, PA and PB. PA and PB. Now they are public. So you can take any public, we don't recommend anything. You can take any public domain, supposedly random permutations. It will have a lot of work. So what you do in the first one, you put this one, this IV key and the nonce is like a tweak, and then these bits are permuted using this public permutation. And once you public, you split this into 2 parts. Okay, the first part you see, it goes to one XOR, and the second part it goes to another XOR. What is the second another XOR? It's a sequence of zeros and the key itself again. They're XORed and move to the next block. And in the first one, what they do, they take the associated, the first associated data A1 and XORs XORed with the half of this output of the first block. Okay, and then that's input to the next permutation. So this we go on doing it as long as we have this associated data, and then you produce something at the end of it. Now comes the plain text. So similar thing we do with the plain text. So instead of associated data, we put the plain text. Okay, it will generate the ciphertext. But every case, after the encryption, we make this into the output is broken into 2 parts. Okay, and the second part goes as it is, and the first part goes. This is being XORed with the previous output, some bits, and then that will generate bits. Of course, this is my C1, and the C1. Vijay Kumar, it disappeared. Vijay Kumar. Hello. Hello.
Seems Vijay dropped out.
Hello, Vijay Kumar.
Let's see.
Sorry for the network glitch. I'm back.
Okay, fine. So you can see that you can see the nature of algorithms that we are developing. So we are talking about using public permutations. So we are giving flexibility to people. So this is just like a cage, and there are inputs. Okay, and we basically rely on permutations, and we say that it doesn't matter to us for the security matter even if this is a public permutation. So if I cannot generate a good permutation, I can take a public permutation. Okay, so this is our ASCON. Okay, then go to the previous page. Okay, the NIST also had a different lightweight competition. Okay, so that I told that it has to be less gates to be used, less memory, less computational power, less battery power, and so on and so forth. This was announced in 2019, and the final portfolio is one, which is this ASCON only was the winner. Okay, sorry, this is the ASCON only. The previous one I'll talk later on. Okay, so move to the next. Yes. Before that, okay, so no, I think we'll move to the next one. I don't want to talk about the algorithms too much. Okay, I can probably skip all this. These are integral part of the algorithms, so we can go through the next one.
Feature.
Okay, so there's some features of this ASCON, because ASCON is now considered to be a very, very nice standard for authenticated, privacy preserving all the algorithms, all this put together. Then go to the next one. Okay, now in India also took some step. Okay, the previous one. The previous one. Yes. In India, in this Data Security Council of India. So DSCI and we from the RCBO Center at ISI, we also had a national level competition for lightweight authenticated ciphers, which maybe the Indian industry, Indian government may adopt if they like. So we had a national level competition. We gave an award about 7.5 lakhs and we got 3 winners. One is T Hyena. This is for resource constant environments. For light OCB, that's for the high speed, if you want to do high speed. And FEASP, this is hardware oriented, so it will protect the side channel attacks. So we rated them in 3 different categories. In the resource constant environment, T Hyena is the best. If you need speed, light OCB is the best. If you want to protect it against hardware implementation from side channel protection, this is FEASP. If you're interested, you can probably get this free of cost from DSCI. You can send a mail to DSCI and they'll be happy to provide you any of these algorithms. Okay, next. So we are not far from the international community either. The next. With the last one, this is what is going to be tomorrow's things. We are all very scared that if quantum computer comes, what is going to happen to all these algorithms? All these algorithms we normally have developed all these years, they will go off. A quantum computer is going to break all these algorithms. So what we are trying now, so we're thinking that, I don't know whether when would this quantum computer come or it will ever come or not, but if it comes, we have to get ready for it. So we are thinking of post-quantum computer algorithms, post-quantum cryptography. Now, these are mostly based on what we have seen, that if you have a code-based cryptography or isogeny-based cryptography or lattice-based cryptography. Okay, these are very highly strong mathematical concepts. Now, these things are not vulnerable to the Shor's algorithm, by which the quantum computer may break other algorithms. So people are looking into algorithms for tomorrow's use on the basis of codes, on the basis of isogeny, on the basis of lattices. Now, this is all going to be very important in coming days, and understanding that NIST has already launched a competition. Okay, so PQC competition, and it's going on, still going on, but you see that there have been some candidates for standardization, alternate candidates for round 4, and so on and so forth. Go to the next one. Okay, so probably let's stop here. So NIST is very careful about the PQC competition. This is going on. I think it's our last stage. We'll know what is the winner, but we may have our own things. We may know the vulnerabilities. And if you have to develop a post-quantum algorithm, once what you have to show that the Shor's algorithm, which is the basis of all these quantum attacks, is not going to be successful on your algorithm. Okay, and so far what we have seen, algorithms based on coding theory or codes, based on lattices, based on isogeny, they are not vulnerable to these quantum machines. Okay, but we have to look forward that. So if I have to summarize, for the recent advances, one must look for tweaks, use of tweaks, so that it becomes more secure and we can do it more parallelly. So first, then we can think of authenticated one and privacy authenticated put together. Then we can think of the lightweight applications, because many of the application domains are use lightweight things. And then lastly, if a quantum machine comes, everything is going to fail. Most of the things. So we are now concerned about what will happen to the post-quantum scenario if a quantum machine there. How would the cryptologists would develop algorithms? And I told you that there are 3 ways we could generate algorithms or develop algorithms now, on the basis of codes, on the basis of lattices, on the basis of isogeny. And they are, as of today, established that the source algorithm cannot attack these algorithms. Okay, thank you. So if I have any questions. Okay, Vijay Kumar, I think I just want to make a point.
If there are questions, we can just...
I did not present all the algorithms in details because it's very difficult to put an algorithm on the screen and people to follow. But if somebody is interested, I can communicate with them. You can give my email address to everybody. Okay, we can talk about the real algorithms. What are state of the art?
Definitely, sir. There is one question in the chat. Why quantum computing breaks existing algorithms?
Oh no, because there is a Shor. There's a competition Shor. Shor has devised an algorithm based on a quantum computer, and which he shows that he can actually break all of these. Like he can factor, he can do discrete logarithms. See, most of the things are on the difficult of certain hard mathematical problem, like factoring, like discrete logarithm, etc. And Shor's algorithm shows that if I have a quantum computer in that paradigm, I can actually break all these algorithms. So most of the things that we know as of today in the algorithms, they will be vulnerable by Shor's algorithms. And I think there are more algorithms in the quantum domain beyond Shor's. And as I say, all these algorithms will be vulnerable if there is a quantum computer, which is far away. I don't know when it's going to come. So I still feel very safe with whatever I have. Because there's one overhead this post-quantum things, because this will need much more space. Okay, it will need a huge key. The key management is going to be issue. There will be a lot of other real application issues for the post-quantum scenario, which again there will be research. Once we come to post-quantum algorithms, right now why it is not popular? We teach in the class Macaulay's algorithm, which is code-based. Okay, there's something called learning with error, LWE, these things. Now, these things we teach, these are shown to be not vulnerable to quantum computing, this Shor's algorithm. But if you want to implement, it needs huge space and the key management becomes a mess. So more research will come if there is really a post-quantum scenario. When you use this, how to use these algorithms, in a realistic way.
Thank you, sir. There is one question during the talk. Was it Renu or?
Yeah. I was just checking on that. I was not sure whether. I was just checking. Some of the algorithms you mentioned for lightweight devices, the RF tags and those things, IoT things. So the algorithms is one is that and the implementation of that. So it is. I think it's again based on the use cases. So normally, I think these implementations are available in probably in Linux-based things, other auto systems, right? So I'm sure that when you go to the specific areas, we will have more things to dig into those things, depending on the use cases that we get into. And Michael being a communication industry,
right. So there's nothing. So you have to choose the algorithm depending on a use case. That's true.
Yeah. And with respect to the Mitel as a company and communicate, which we are in the communications domain. So I think those, I don't know to what extent these algorithms will play a role, but I think we'll be curious to subset those algorithms and probably delve into those things depending on the use case again. Yeah, just a comment. Maybe I was just curious.
I think we can talk offline. I'll be interested if you're really implementing algorithms as a company. I'd love to know what is happening in your domain, because we are still searching the algorithms. But I know implementation is a different ball game.
Yeah, I know. Again, we again build on top of the existing Linux lightweight systems, and especially in terms of desktop phones. So we may not be implementing it, but we will be curious to choose maybe if at all, if there's a need, we will be doing that.
Yes,
But I
think
don't think that happens in a regular
for
basis.
lightweight, we have done a national competition. I was leading that competition, DSCI, Data Security Council of India. You can get in touch with them because they have these algorithms. And beside that, there are many other submissions. So we thought of three winner for three different categories, but there are many more applications, many more submissions, many algorithms. So you can get in touch with them and see which could be used by you for your own applications. So
Sure.
we are in India. We are not much far behind. We are also at the same level. We are trying to compete with the international body.
Yeah, good to know so many things happening in the encryption domain. It's a good exposure.
Okay, maybe we can take offline. So you just take my email address from Vijay Kumar, or you can even phone number also. I don't mind giving my phone number, so you can talk.
Sure. Yeah,
sure.
Definitely. We'll talk. Thanks.
Sarang, you have a question?
Yes.
Sarang, you can unmute and ask your question.
Yes. What is the question?
Okay, while we wait for him, there is.
Hello.
Good.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you're audible, sir.
So actually, my question was based on quantum proof computing or quantum proof encryption. So I'm a student of cybersecurity at National Forensic Sciences University, Delhi campus. So my question was that if we were to build a quantum proof encryption standard, is it a possibility that we could use rolling code blocks with RSA or DS or ES, recent encryption standards? So why?
You cannot, because the Shor's algorithm will break it. You study Shor's algorithm, it will break it immediately.
So why cannot we use the key as a rolling code block?
No. See, you have to first study the Shor's algorithm and what are the other quantum algorithms. And these things have been proven to be weak by lots of by lots of authors. So what remains today to be quantum safe are the ones which are based on codes, isogeny, or lattices. So if you are really looking for a post-quantum development, you must study these three concepts: coding theory, lattice theory, and isogeny, and try to implement one of those ideas. The others are not going to work. This is internationally accepted now.
So could you elaborate a bit more on why that does not work?
No, so you have to read the Shor's algorithm and then you understand.
Okay.
So there is a Shor's algorithm. That's the fundamental of quantum cryptanalysis. The many algorithms came behind. So what you have been proposing, this standard block ciphers like AES and others, they are all vulnerable to this.
So AES and others might be vulnerable because of their fixed code size or fixed block sizes. I was talking about using the key as a rolling code.
No, I understand that. So now you have to establish this. It's not breakable. So I don't want to break it at this point of time. If you say that this is, then you study these algorithms, Shorts and others, you have to prove just the way the coding theory community has proven that this is not vulnerable to all these quantum attacks. So by doing this little modification, if you think this is going to be quantum safe, then you have to prove yourself.
So actually, using the rolling code, it changes every time the key system.
But you have to prove this. This is not a proof. This is your some statements.
It is just a theory. It is just proof. Okay.
They have to give me a mathematical proof. So you have to first study the quantum algorithms to start with, and you have to prove that your proposition is going to be not vulnerable if you use one of these quantum algorithms.
So are there any resources that you might suggest?
No, so you just give a Google search to quantum algorithms. It is study Short, and there are many algorithms, and to understand the algorithm, see in your algorithm that these things are not going to be useful for breaking your algorithms. So that's what you have to show.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
There's one more question in the chat. So what are the most promising new directions for research in cryptography in the next 5 to 10 years?
That's what I told already. So you should go for tweakable ciphers in order for more security and fast enough parallel computation. So 2x, there will be a NIST competition soon on tweakable block ciphers. This I think the most important is the PQC and lightweight. Because most of the lightweight, post-quantum, and tweakable ciphers. So this, to my knowledge, is are the most important things for today, and also hopefully for tomorrow too.
I think that's all the questions we had, sir.
Okay, good.
So we'll at the top of the hour. So thank you, sir, for taking time to join us and sharing your thoughts. On behalf of ISOC Bengaluru and everyone, thank you so much. So I guess
Okay.
we'll
So as I tell
anything.
that anybody is welcome to contact me. You can share my email address and phone number also, because in a talk you cannot say too much, because I cannot really describe an algorithm in details. Because when ASCON, it's very difficult for me to describe with a slide like this, because it takes more time. I need 1 hour to explain one algorithm. Okay, so this why ASCON is good, why another is not good. So this is just a very overview. So if somebody is interested little deeper, I'm ready to interact. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, yeah, bye-bye.